Last week we talked about a fine rifle on a budget, and it seemed appropriate this week to talk about a fine rifle and not on a budget, because we have just such a rifle right here. I found this rifle a few weeks ago online. I bought it. It shipped to my local gun shop, FFL, and just picked this rifle up, and honestly I'm kind of anxious to see it, and I thought y'all might just enjoy the uncasing on this one. So let's see what we've got here. And there she is. A 2013 Winchester Model 70 Featherweight chambered in .257 Roberts. So let's talk about this rifle for a moment. I have talked extensively in the past about my Winchester Model 70 Featherweight Super Grade chambered in 7mm Mauser. And I mentioned that it was part of a special run by Winchester produced for Cabela's in 2013. And I also said that they produced those same rifles chambered in .257 Roberts. And in addition to making the super grades, they also produced some with the standard featherweight production stocks. And what we have here is one of the standard production Winchester Model 70 featherweights chambered in .257 Roberts. And honestly, I prefer the standard production stock for the .257 Roberts because it's lighter, and .257 Roberts being such a mild recoiling cartridge, they're just a perfect fit for each other. And I remember when they announced they were producing these, and I got excited. Well, I chose the 7mm Mauser. Just sentimental reasons mainly, but also because the sub Mauser shoots heavier bullets, and I tend to favor heavier bullets. So I got the sub Mauser, and getting both was not an option. I mean, I could barely afford the 7mm Mauser, much less both. But I have kept my eye out for one of these over the years. And then about 3 weeks ago, I ran across this one. And it is absolutely immaculate. The seller said that it had been fired less than 75 times. And looking at this rifle and the jewelling and the condition, I have absolutely no reason to doubt him on that. So yeah, I was excited. And I decided to make this my birthday present to myself this year. So yeah, I'm sharing my birthday present with y'all. But this rifle, being pretty rare, hard to find, and anytime you have something that's rare and hard to find, usually they're not budget friendly. And this one wasn't budget friendly. And as much as I enjoy sharing this one with y'all, it's the buying a not budget friendly rifle I wanted to talk about today. Now, I value saving money and trying to live within my means, and I highly encourage others to do the same every chance I get. And me personally, I cannot stand materialism. I value morals and skills, not material things. Give a man a fish and you feed him for a day. Teach a man to fish and you feed him for a lifetime. Well, learning to fish is a skill, and it's the skill that feeds you for a lifetime. The fish is just a material thing. And then the teaching someone else to fish or hunt, well, that's just good morals and helping your neighbor. Plus, this is the Simple Living channel, and I am all about living simple. Now, with that said, there is a time for purchasing high-end firearms if you have the means to do so. And thankfully, some of you do. And keep in mind, this is all relative according to whatever situation you're in. For some of you, this is not high-end, not even close. For me, it is. We're all in different situations. And when I say high-end, there are fine rifles and shotguns out there that cost more than this rifle, my truck, and my boat put together. Seriously. And thankfully, some of you had the means to purchase those and do. And I say that because Holland is still in business. Rigby, Mauser, Griffin and Howell, they're still producing fine firearms. And then so many custom gunsmiths out there producing just absolute works of art. And it's those of you that have the means to purchase such firearms and buying them that keeps those companies in business. So yeah, I am thankful that there are those of you out there that are buying them. And then the work that the artists and craftsmen and women are doing for those companies on those firearms and the gunsmiths. Well, seeing that's what inspires me. Okay, I'm never going to be able to afford a Griffin and Howell or a Rigby. I mean, just ain't going to happen. But I can still admire their work and be inspired by it. And that's what motivates me to want to come out here to my shop and then try to turn something like this old 1903 A3 surplus military stock into something special. So yeah, I'm thankful they're there and producing the quality of work they are. It is inspiring. And then there's the manufacturers that are still producing quality firearms, even though they are production rifles. You've still got Ruger producing the #1 in the Model 77, and Winchester Model 70, and the Super Grade, and Featherweight, and Sporters, and Weatherby, the Mark 5s, and so many other mass-produced quality firearms. Well, it's up to those of us that have the means to purchase those, to support those companies when we can. Because that's the only thing that's going to keep those companies in business in the future, producing those firearms. And that's why I say it is important to purchase such items if we have the means to do so. That was the why we should purchase fine firearms, or what we consider fine firearms, if we're able and have the means. Okay, and that's the easy part. The hard part's figuring out, well, what is a fine firearm to you? And I say hard because it sounds simple, but it's not. Because it requires research and learning and history. And that's why I hate materialism. Materialism, we surround ourselves with stuff that's just cheap, disposable, meaningless stuff. We couldn't care less about it. And that is just such a sad thing for us to surround ourselves with stuff that's just meaningless to us. But when you learn history, well, that changes things. This Winchester Model 70 Featherweight, I know the history of this rifle. Little details on it. The snobble forend here. Okay, this is extremely functional. What this does is it removes weight, because it removes wood, from this area of the stock. So it helps the rifle balance a lot better with this featherweight barrel because it's really thin. And it just adds just a really nice aesthetic touch to the appearance of the rifle. And that snobble forend here was Winchester paying homage to the Winchester Model 54, their very first bolt-action rifle produced in 1925. It had a snobble forend. That's just neat. And the cartridge is chambered in, 257 Roberts. I know Ned Roberts worked tirelessly to develop the cartridge. He was an absolute perfectionist. And when loaded to its full potential as he designed it, it is an outstanding hunting cartridge. And we talk about inherent accuracy. He designed this cartridge to be able to put 10 shots in a 1-inch group at 100 yards. 1-inch group, 10 shots, 100 yards. In 1928. What else could you ask for from a cartridge? Folks, we are walking in the footsteps of giants, and most of us just don't even know it because we don't know our history. How can things be meaningful to us if we don't know nothing about them? How can we have respect for those that came before us if we don't even know they existed or what they did. Okay, that's why the history part's important, learning the history. That's how you figure out what's meaningful to you. And this applies to any budget or those without a budget. If you have absolutely no budget and you're thinking maybe a Rigby rifle, go read about Jim Corbett. Yeah, pretty interesting stuff there. William Caramojo Bell. Go read up on that. That's some fascinating stuff. All right, that gives those rifles that something extra, that meaning. And okay, if you can't afford that, which I certainly can't, but maybe you can get a 257 Roberts, something chambered in it. Go read about Ned Roberts. Read about the work he did in developing that cartridge, who he was. All right. Maybe you're really on a budget. Okay, and I get that. I seriously do. Again, I encourage everybody to live responsibly and in their means. Maybe you're going to go get a Savage Axis or want one, or that's what you have. Go read about Arthur Savage. Amazing individual. I mean, seriously, you go read about Arthur Savage, and it's just going to make you feel really bad. You're going to feel about this big when you think about the people we look up to today versus somebody like him. I mean, he was just a larger-than-life, exceptional individual. And then that'll give you a little more respect for the company he created. And learning history, it's not going to put more game in the freezer for you. It's not. It's not going to make you a more effective hunter or anything else. But what it's going to do is it's going to give you a whole new perception of things. Literally, physical things, and the people that designed them and created them. And going through life without knowing history, it's like going through life and seeing everything on a black and white TV. You learn a little history and all of a sudden everything's in Technicolor. We have to have context for things to be important to us. Okay, now that doesn't mean worship the things. We should never idolize things, and at the end of the day, these are just things. But then this goes back to value the skills and morals of those people. And not all of them had morals, but we can at least look at their skills. And we can be inspired by what they did. What they accomplished was so little. And then after that, what are we capable of doing? I really enjoyed sharing my birthday present with y'all. And yes, we are going to go shoot this. And yes, I am still trying to live within my means, and this was not a need. It definitely fell into the category of wants. And someone recently reminded me about this is simple living and mentioned, the one rifle concept. And that's something still near and dear to me, even though at this point I have multiple rifles. But I'm getting rid of something because I did purchase this. I said before, I'm to the point now when I get a rifle, I'm getting rid of something. Well, I am, and we're going to talk about that in depth in the future. Don't worry. Should be a pretty interesting conversation. But right now, though, I am glad I bought this. Again, it's just a thing, but it's something I do value. It's something I've wanted for a long time. And fortunately, I'm old enough for my wants not to hurt me, but I was able to get this, and it is something special to me. And as much as I value saving money and all that, we only live once. And so every now and then, it's okay to splurge. And I paid cash for it. I didn't finance it. I had the money in the bank to write the check. So, yeah, if I can limit myself to one firearm a year, I think we're going to be okay. So I hope y'all enjoyed this. And God bless. Have a wonderful day.